Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Gold, joining you on Thursday. I hope you're well, enjoying the week. We are, of course, only 3 days away now from the huge North London derby at Spurs. I'll be talking about that a little bit later on in this video. Plenty of other things to discuss as well, but I've got to start with the big unveiling last night. I was at the launch event up in London of the new artwork outside at the Emirates Stadium, the 8 pieces of art that are going to adorn the Emirates for the next, 10, 15, however many years. I'm sure you've seen the images by now. The launch was really good. It was a fun night. And I'll tell you what, it's surprising, but they've been universally really well received. I mean, you can't please everyone with these things. And I had a sort of sneak peek of these images last week, and as soon as I saw them, you sort of look at them, you have your own opinion on them, and then you think, how's it going to go down with everyone else? Because you can't please everyone. It's impossible to please everyone. Everyone's going to have an opinion, especially when it comes to sort of art and design. Some people are going to like things, some people aren't. Some people are going to want this player involved, some players are going to want that player on it. But I think on the whole, Arsenal and the artists and the fans who have been heavily involved in the process have done a very good job of pleasing most people. Personally, in my view, I think they look pretty great. I like some of them more than the others. I mean, the Highbury one is by far and away my favourite, and I love it. And I think Arsenal probably end up making a killing by sort of pressing that up into a actual design that they sell in the armoury in the shops. A nice print that people can print off and have hung up on their wall, like the one I've got behind me there of Highbury. I think it looks absolutely fantastic, and I was there yesterday. It was quite a nice moment, and George Graham was one of the many sort of former players and legends who were at the event last night, and he was in front of me while I was looking at it, and he was looking at himself on the mural and how he's going to look, and it was quite a nice little moment. And the other ones are great. I love the one with the fans banners, and you can sort of spend ages just looking at those, picking out a new one each time. The one of the Invincibles with the women's team from the Champions League winners, and of course the Invincibles, I think that looks great. And just on the whole, I think it's been a really good process, because it's Arsenal, it's been going on for a long time, and Arsenal have been really clear that they sort of started this with a clean slate, so to speak. That's how they described that. I was talking to Vinai, the CEO at the event yesterday, and he was talking to me about it, how it was a completely clean slate. They didn't want to go in with it with any preconceived ideas. They wanted fans at the heart of it. That's why they held these workshops. They've spoken to more than 100 fans who speak from all around the world to get their view on what Arsenal means to them in the sort of modern era, and who they would like to see on it, that sort of thing. And I think they've just done a really good job. And like I said, you can't please everyone. I know that, and I'm sure some of you watching this now are going to say you didn't quite like this thing or that thing. But I think on the whole, it looks really good. I mean, they're going to start going up. The plan was to start putting them up today, but any of you who are looking out the window like I am at the moment in England and around the London area know that they can't really do that because of strong winds and rain. It's a horrible, miserable day here, so that's going to have to be delayed, unfortunately. So we'll have to wait and see exactly when they all go up. The plan is for at least a couple of them to be fully in place for the Manchester United game next weekend. Which ones they will be, we'll have to wait and see. But as I said, I really want the Highbury one to go up first. I think the one that's going to be seen from the sort of train tracks as you come in from the north of England and you come in towards King's Cross, that one's going to be, you're going to have the big sort of welcome to North London and sort of home of the Arsenal sign's going to be on that one. You're going to have Highbury is going to be facing Highbury. I think the one that's got sort of Martin Keown on it and that lot's going to be above the away entrance. So that's where these things are going to be. And I think it's just going to make the Emirates look so much better. I mean, something needed to be done. I really like the 32 players that we've had there since 2006, but something needed to be done just to freshen it up. You see how faded those ones were. And personally, I think this is going to look really great. And I think the way Arsenal have done it, I'm not sure many other clubs would have done something like this. The way they put fans at the heart of it, I think when it comes to these sort of events, these sort of projects, Arsenal do these very well. And I think they've done these ones very well. And the event yesterday was great. You had, Ian Wright was there, Charlie George Graham, Lee Dixon, David Seaman, Martin Odegaard was there from the sort of current squad. You had Edu, Vinai, Tim Lewis, all the Richard Garlick, all the sort of executive team were there as well. And it was just a really good event where full of fans, of course, who had been involved in the process, who had an invite. And I met quite a few of you there. If you're watching this, I met Clive from Arsenal Twitter fame. As well, Elliot from Arsenal Vision. And it's great to meet a lot of people and say hello to people. So yeah, really good night, and personally I think they look great. But let me know what you guys think, of course, in the comments below. Okay, so at the event yesterday, Vinai was talking to various people. He gave a little interview to Sky Sports as well. This is what he had to say. He was talking about transfers. He said, we've got a very clear plan headed up by Edu in terms of what we want to do to strengthen the squad. Every transfer window, of course, we're going to look to see what opportunities are out there. If something makes sense from a technical perspective and a financial perspective, of course, we'll look to do it. But we're happy with the squad that we've got. We'll have a look around like we do in every transfer window. We've got a long-term plan to continue to strengthen the team. He was asked about Mudryk, and of course, the reply before I even have to say it, just said we're not going to talk about any individual players. So, what he said there was nothing new, really, just sort of reaffirming how Arsenal now operate, how it's all part of a long-term strategy and plan, and they're not really going to deviate away from that. That's why Arsenal didn't get involved with the whole João Felix move in the end. It was just that sort of money for basically borrowing a player for 6 months. It's just not really something Arsenal are going to do now. It's just the financials involved was just too much for them. And it was, yes, he was a player who would have been of interest and had been offered around to various clubs, including Arsenal. But the finances involved, it just priced Arsenal out. They're just not going to make a move like that. It's all about long-term thinking at Arsenal at the moment, and that's why they're pushing so hard to sign Mudryk, and nothing's really moved on from that. We saw Shakhtar yesterday basically had a day of Mudryk's social media and posting him non-stop. They're over in Turkey on their training camp. Mudryk has gone to that, and yeah, Shakhtar are very, very keen to get him all over their socials yesterday, which was quite interesting. You saw, I think there was one of him chatting with the sporting director, Darren Cerner. Of course, you didn't get to see what they were saying, but they clipped up that little piece of footage. There was lots of stuff from training of him showing off his new tattoo, that sort of thing. So nothing's really moved on as far as I'm aware with Madrid. Club's still in talks. Arsenal willing to play the long game, and we'll just have to wait and see how it turns out as the month progresses. And I know that obviously the last few days there's been lots of talks about how things have really sort of moved forward and things are very, very close, but Shakhtar are still very much holding firm when it comes to their valuation and what they want from Arsenal. So we'll just have to wait and see who blinks first in this sort of game of January poker. Will Shakhtar bring their demands down? Is it all a big bluff? The whole 100 million, the package has to reach 88 million pounds. Is that all a big bluff, and will they change their mind as we get further through January once they realise they're risking missing out on a very, very big payday? Or will they hold firm? It's all a big game of transfer poker, as you often get in January, and it's a case of who will blink first. So hopefully Arsenal win that battle, but we shall wait and see. Sort of looking around the transfer scene, one that's quite an interesting one potentially at the moment is Matteo Guendouzi coming back to the Premier League, linking up again with Unai Emery. That is a big story that's doing the rounds at the moment. Aston Villa interested in signing Guendouzi and bringing him back. It doesn't sound like there's been any sort of official bid yet, but it's one that Unai Emery is keen on, which you can understand. Guendouzi and Emery got on pretty well at Arsenal. Emery was a man who sort of brought him into the starting 11 and made his name, really. And for Guendouzi, it'd be an attractive option. I mean, he's doing very, very well at Marseille, obviously, but the money involved at Villa would be completely huge compared to what he's getting at Marseille. For Arsenal, it would be beneficial. They do have a sell-on clause with Guendouzi. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but there is a sell-on clause included in that deal they had with Marseille. So if they do sign him for 30, 40 million, whatever it is, and Arsenal would get a percentage of that, obviously. So financially, it'd be a good thing for Arsenal, but it'd be interesting to see Guendouzi back in the Premier League. It always felt like it is something that will happen at some stage, because he just feels like a Premier League player, someone we know can play here and perform here. He's done it. He did it when he was at Arsenal, and now he's gone on and become a better player really while he's been at Marseille. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him back in the Premier League. Whether that happens in January, we'll have to wait and see. Wout Weghorst, he has made his move to Man United, although it's not been officially confirmed yet. It's very, very close to happening. So could well be seeing Weghorst against Arsenal next week at the Emirates. Might even be his debut, depending on what time they sign it, get his deal done this week. Whether he qualifies for the Manchester derby or not, it's an interesting one. That, not the sort of player you'd really expect Man United to be signing, but could well do a job for them between now and the end of the season. And the way Ten Hag's been been going there. He deserves a lot of credit, and he deserves a fair bit of trust. And if he thinks he's someone who's going to come in and improve United, you can't really doubt him at the moment, because he's doing a very, very good job there, and it's got United playing very well. Hopefully they play very well at the weekend in the Manchester derby, but then stink the place out the following week when they come to the Emirates. That would be very nice indeed. Okay, so Spurs North London derby, that is beginning to loom large now. Of course, we're only 3 days away from that. Can Arsenal end their horrible record that they've got at the new Spurs Stadium? Actually, it's not even just at the new Spurs Stadium. It goes back way. I think when Thomas Rosicky scored that goal, the winner at White Hart Lane, that was the last time Arsenal won there in the league. It's been a pretty miserable run for Arsenal there. In fact, the North London derbies over the last sort of 10 years or so really is a case of home team wins. Arsenal win at the Emirates and Tottenham win at Spurs. Hopefully Arsenal can put an end to that on Sunday. It would be a big statement if they could go to Spurs and win. It would be a massive confidence boost ahead of that game against Manchester United the following weekend as well. In terms of who starts that game against Spurs, it all kind of depends on Bukayo Saka, doesn't it? You know, is Saka going to be fit? Mykhailo Mudryk was very, very keen after the Oxford game to make it known that he was fine and he wasn't an injury concern. Whether that was a little bit of a bluff, we'll have to wait and see. Mikel will be speaking tomorrow at his press conference. I'll be there at London Colney. I think it's a 1:30pm start tomorrow. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of an update on that if Mikel Arteta is in a open mood, which he tends to not be. He seems to be very, very secretive, especially about team news, things like that, about a big game. But we shall see if Saka is fit. I mean, if he is, then the team basically picks itself. We know what it's going to be, don't we? When it comes to that match at North London derby, it'll be Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Odegaard, Xhaka, Saka, Nketiah, Martinelli. That'll be the starting 11. I'll be stunned if it's not, unless there's injuries that we don't know about. So it all kind of revolves around Bukayo Saka. Spurs look like they might be in pretty decent shape for that game. Kulusevski, Bentancur, players who have missed out for them recently, appear to be back. Whether they'll be ready to start the game, again, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure when Conte's presser is. It might well be today. If not, it will definitely be tomorrow. So he'll be giving updates on that. I think Richarlison's even got a chance of coming back for them after that injury he picked up at the World Cup. So Spurs could be pretty much at full strength. And that'll be a boost for them. And we'll have to wait and see if it makes much of a difference. They're not been in the best of form, but they did get that very, very good league win at Crystal Palace ahead of this game to give them a little bit of a shot in the arm ahead of that derby. Like I said, it's going to be massive. If Arsenal can win this, what a huge confidence boost that would give them in what's been a tricky month. They had a difficult game against Newcastle, got a draw, which wasn't the worst result in the world. They went to Oxford and got the win. But now they got these 2 games back to back, Tottenham and Manchester United, and Manchester City at the meantime play Manchester United and then Tottenham, which is quite a quirky turn of events. Who will get the better over those 2 games, Arsenal or Manchester City? We shall see. But big games coming up. It's what you want. If you want to be involved in these matches, you want to be in the mix, and that's exactly where Arsenal are. So like I said, I'll be at London Colney tomorrow for that press conference with Mikel Arteta. Follow me for all live updates, what he had to say and reaction afterwards. Of course, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Please do enjoy the rest of your day, and anything you've agreed with, disagreed with, any sort of comment, opinion you want to share, you know the drill. Hit me up in the comments below. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Speak to you soon.